I'll be out in just a second.
What up, party people? It's your boy, MC Popsicle, and welcome to Weird Interviews. What's up, party people? It's your boy, the magnificent mutant, MC Popsicle! Thank you. And today, I'm super excited because we're talking to Cal Dodd, the voice of Wolverine from the original X-Men animated series, as well as X-Men 97, the upcoming Disney series. I am super freaking out. He is so cool. But first, check out a word from our sponsor, NevaEyewear.com. Check them out. They make the best sunglasses in the business. Also, make sure to pick up my new graphic novel, Popsicle Ghost, at my website, jawbreakermedia.com. And without further ado, Cal Dodd. Hello, Mr. Dodd. How you doing?
I'm fine, Josh. How are you? It's about time.
Yeah, thank you. I am
You keep rescheduling this all the time.
I know. I'm so busy. But really, thank you so much for coming on here. This is so cool to me. I really appreciate it.
You're more than welcome, and it's my fault for keeping canceling and stuff. But with the cons I'm doing and all that stuff, it just got ridiculous. And with the cameos and this cold that you can hear, but we'll ignore that until I start sneezing and coughing.
Well, it really means a lot to me. Like, this is so cool to me. Like, I love the X-Men and I love Wolverine, so this is like a dream come true. So I really appreciate you doing this.
Beautiful. My pleasure, like I said.
Well, so I was reading about you, and I read that you were in a band called Deja Vu back in the day.
Yep.
What kind of band was it?
Rock band. The band was put together by Jimmy Einer from New York City, who produced Three Dog Night for years. Remember the group Three Dog Night?
Yeah.
He produced them for years, and when the band split up, they were making so much money with capital EMI, with Jimmy as their producer and stuff, that he figured we'd just grab three other singers somewhere and put a band like them, like Three Dog Night, together again. So he contacted Skip Prokop, who is the drummer and the leader of the band called Lighthouse. The two of them put together this group and handpicked the singers, and I was the lead singer with two other guys. And the band, we rehearsed underground for about 10 months in Toronto here, and just went to New York and recorded the first album, and after that, we did a cross-country tour with Joe Cocker. You know Joe Cocker? Yeah. And I just loved that. Just made my life, that tour, because it was like I was like a kid and just like watching the best rhythm section I've ever heard, which was Joe's band. His rhythm section was the top cats from New York City. So Richard Tees, who's a brilliant keyboard player, may he rest in peace. Same with Joe. They're both gone. Richard Tees, Cornell Dupree, Eric Gale, two guitar players that are bar none the tops. Gordon Edwards on bass, and Steve Gadd on drums. It's like Steve was the only white dude in the group. But what a drummer he was! And just I would sit. So we would go on, and our band would do the first 45 minutes to an hour. You know, the front act before Joe, the big star, came on. And I would sit after our set was done. I would sit backstage and sit and watch these cats play. They would play for 20 minutes before Joe came on, and it was the funkiest. Well, the band was called Stuff, and so they released an album after they did the tour with Joe. Released an album called Stuff, and then they did a second album about 2 years later called More Stuff.
Nice.
But
I like it.
They were so cool and so good. And I would just sit and watch those guys and just groove and just like, wow. And then I'd see Joe on the other side of the stage, and this girl that was looking after whatever would shove him on stage, and he would just find his way to the microphone, and just the band would like hit the downbeat with the horns would come on. Stuff like, she came in through the bathroom window. And then I was just like, yikes, this is Joe Cocker, baby. So yeah, we toured with him, and then we did a second album, and I just got tired of it after 2 years. I was already tired of it because I was doing commercials and jingles in Toronto, like the singer in Canada for singing jingles, beer, Pepsi, Coke, Kellogg's cornflakes, mini wheats and all that, anything, bras, Wonder Bra. And they would fly me to Montreal and to New York and Chicago. Once I sang with what's his name? I always get the two of them mixed up. The guy that died on the day the music died, Richie Havens. So Richie Havens was who I sang with. Richie Valens was the guy that died in the airplane crash with the Big Bopper, and the rock singer of the time. It's gone. But it was. I sang.
Buddy Holly?
They just flew. Huh?
Was it Buddy Holly?
Buddy Holly. Yes, it was. Buddy Holly. Thank you. And so they flew us to Chicago, three guys, and all we had to do, it was for a Canadian beer, Molson X, but they flew us to Chicago, and Richie Havens is the lead singer on the commercial. And I had done telethons with him in Canada here, Easter Seals things. And so we knew each other. But still, just to watch him and hear him, here comes the sun, that dude. Anyway, so, and all we did was sing, he would sing whatever this was for Molson X, and we would just sing. They flew us all the way to Chicago to sing X says it 3 times in the commercial. X says it in harmony. X says it, X says it. And then we went home. But otherwise, I would go on my own and just sing. I was the dude in the city for singing. And I had never, so back to the band, I just got tired of performing in Toronto and not dives, but just really retching my voice out for nothing. Because, they were just paying us a weekly sum, capital EMI. And so I left after 2 albums and got on with my life. And had got my own TV show, which was syndicated worldwide, called Circus, with myself and a girl. It was like Donnie and Marie Osmond.
Wow.
And, with real circus acts, like world famous circus acts. And we had 6 dancers, girls dancers. And we would do production numbers and that whole thing. So, it was all singing until 92, when they asked me would you try trying out for this thing? Because I impersonated a lot of people, and I do a great Tom Waits, which is, Tom Waits is such a very, very funky, gravelly voice thing. And anybody I can impersonate, and Michael McDonald and stuff. So they figured, well, let's see if we can do a Wolverine.
Right.
So I'm going to stop talking now.
No. It's very interesting. You had a lot going on.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved with the X-Men thing? They just knew who you were because of all the commercials and the show and stuff?
Yes, and I had sung a commercial with 5 other guys for Chrysler, and of the 5 of us, we were all like soldiers. and they wanted someone to be the sergeant, you know, for the while they're marching the talk. Who's got all the 4x4s? That guy. So the other guys can do that. So they said, Cal, do you want to give that a try? I said, sure. So I ended up doing that. And it went, you know, national TV, radio, and stuff. So I would go, who's got all the 4x4s? And they would answer, Streicher's got the 4x4 sound off, that thing. So the girl that was doing the casting, Karen Gura, for the X-Men people in Canada here, just on a whim, because she heard that voice and thought, well, it's kind of a gravelly sounding thing. So I'll ask. And so she phoned me and I said, what's it for? She said, well, I can't tell you. It's called Project X. Duh. So I said, well, no, what? She said, well, it's for the voice of a character named Wolverine. And I said, oh, okay. Not a clue who he was. This is 92. And all the other voices too did not have a clue who the X-Men were, except for Beast, George Buza. He had read one X-Men comic book years prior to this audition. So I just, they called me and I said, sure. So I show up at the studio and there's all these cats from LA and New York behind the glass, you know, the president, you know, whatever, Marvel, and the directors and producers and writers. And I'm in my recording booth in Toronto. They flew into Toronto, so they're there physically. And I said, I said, so what is this? What did you want me to do? Well, they said, his name is Wolverine. I said, yeah, I heard that. And so they showed me a picture, kind of like, not as good as this, because this is there was no animation done at that point. But they showed me a picture of Wolverine, so it was like kind of like that. This is the very first drawing of Wolverine, that the comic, that the cartoon. We hesitate to call it a cartoon. The animated series. This is the artist's first drawing and the one that went to air. So this was the cell that they gave. They gave me the cell, so it was the cell that they gave me. So I took a picture of the cell so I could take it to Comic-Cons, and the fans just love it. But so they showed me this picture and I said, oh, okay. You know, again, had no idea who the X-Men were. I said, interesting outfit. They said, yeah, well, they still didn't know that I didn't know anything about them. And they said, I said, so what is he? What's the guy? What's he all about? He said, well, he's 5'3", tough as nails, has a big heart, will defend his death, to his death, his buddies, his friends, and the people he loves, and he's cranky. And he's cranky. I said, oh, I got that covered. I said, so who do you hear him sounding like? And they said, Clint Eastwood. Almost every one of them said Clint Eastwood. And I went, they had already given me the line. I'm looking at this line going like, wow, this is pretty violent line. And he's obviously Clint Eastwood. I've never heard Clint Eastwood yell. He's always kind of controlled. That stuff that Clint, go ahead, make my, that kind of quiet anger that he had. Right. So I said, well, I get what you mean, but I said, this line that he's yelling at. I said, by the way, who's he yelling at? And they said, Sabretooth. And now, seriously, Josh, I said, Sabretooth. Sabretooth, Wolverine. And I said, is this an animal cartoon? He said, what? I said, is this an animal cartoon? Wolverine, Sabretooth. They just couldn't stop laughing. They said, no. I said, oh, good. Well, why the names? What's that? He said, well, they're mutants. Like, as if that's going to clear everything up. And I went, oh, gee, that makes everything. Right. What the hell? The mutant. Seriously, I said, what's a mutant? They said, well, and then explained it. He said, and they're not allowed into regular society. This is regular society. I'm terrified of them because they're different. And they have weird powers and they can do weird things to them. And I said, wow, okay then. Okay then, he's a mutant. He's not an animal. And it's not a cartoon. It's an animated series. Yes, please, if you don't mind. I said, I don't mind. I'm just here to audition. So I said, okay. And because I had to start reading sooner or later. So I said, okay, you ready? I said, sure. And it's the first line that I read as Wolverine, my attempt of creating this guy's voice. And it was this one. Here goes my ear. Here goes my eyes. There we go. So I said, And of course, I didn't have these. I
That
said,
would have helped.
yeah, it would. I read the line. I said, all right, you egg-sucking piece of gutter trash. You always did like pushing around people shorter than you. Well, I'm shorter. Try pushing me. And they just went, holy. Okay. Good. Give them some more lines. They just came in with all kinds of new lyrics for me to read, like again with the claws that he has, that he's it ended up being in the episode that has the Hellfire Club, and Wolverine breaks through the door, busts the door down, and there's a guy pointing a gun right at him, just like with a big long machine gun looking thing, laser or something, right at him. And Wolverine, and it is stolen from a Clint Eastwood movie, but they just loved it, and it went over big in the series too. So, and Wolverine busts, and he walks toward this guy very slowly, saying, "I know what you're thinking, punk. Question is, can I get Wolverine before he turns me into shish kebab with those claws? Well, bub, seeing as how these claws are adamantium, the strongest metal known, and can slice through vanadium steel like a hot knife through butter, buddy, you gotta ask yourself, do I feel lucky?" And they just went, that's unbelievable. They said, and they kept throwing lines at me. And like, I just describing situations. Said, "This is said to Cyclops." I said, "What, Cyclops?" I said, "Here we go." "Who?" They said, "Cyclops." I said, "Oh, I'm afraid to even ask. I'm afraid to ask." And they said, never mind. "But you're all mutants." I said, "Okay, does he have just one eye in the middle?" I said, "No." "But, you don't get along with him either because you happen to both love the same woman." I said, "Oh, perfect." And so I said, he's telling you what to do with the rest of the X-Men. He's saying, "All right, everybody, Professor says we're supposed to go over here and rescue this person and that person. And he wants all of us to go." And of course, Wolverine's way over far without even listening to him. It is, and he wants everyone, all of us to go. "And that includes you, Wolverine." So, like a child. And Wolverine just slowly walks over to him, this famous line that the fans just love. Walks over to him. And I just wanted to put a line in before it, but they said, "No, you don't need to do that." But I said, "But it'd be funny." He said, "Oh, you'll have enough funny lines." Because in the back of my head, so what I'm saying this line, what I said before the actual line was, "I got news for you, bub." This is what I wanted to say before. I go, "All right, I've got a news flash." And this is the line. He walked up to Cyclops, and that means you too, Wolverine. He just walked up to him and said, "I go where I want to go." And turned and walked away. So, and that's how I got into it. So I left. They said, you can, thank you so much. I said, "Well, you're very welcome." It was a treat. And I left, and they phoned me the next morning and asked me if I wanted to be their Wolverine. I said, "Whoever's Wolverine, I'll be him." They said, "Thank you." Welcome to Marvel. And what a 5 years I had doing that, baby. 5 years with that show. And then it disappears for 25 years. 26 years, and now we're doing it again with Disney.
I know. That's crazy. So
it is.
So you just knocked it out of the park immediately. Like, so they just gave you the lines, you just killed it, and then that was it. Like, you're just in it.
And now, when they talk about it at Comic Cons, like those people, Larry Houston was our director back then, the first year. And he's a great artist as well. And then when we're all on Comic Cons, and Eric and Julia Leewald, who Eric was responsible for getting the show to air with Fox, a showrunner, and his wife was one of the writers as well. But they all said it was just like, as soon as Cal read the line, we didn't know whether to or steal third, because it was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the one. So, and I just love him. He's like a brother to me now. It's crazy. It's just great to have him back too after 25 years. Because once they cut you off like that after 5 years of going 5 years to do this, your buddy do his voice, and then they say, "Bye, he's gone." Oh, great!
Wow, that's wild.
We're back.
So
we're back, bub.
Yeah, that's so crazy. This is so crazy. Yeah. I'm so happy that we live in a time where stuff like this happens. Like, this seems like a newer development where they start started like pulling these shows back and all
Oh
this
yeah,
stuff. Like, it's so cool.
it's the
What?
fans that it's the fans that did all this too. Because we were doing Comic Cons and we heard this rumor that Disney was thinking about, because they've been streaming X-Men, like our original series. They've been streaming the thing for a couple of years, and it was their top show constantly the whole time. Of all the shows they were streaming, X-Men was always at the top, of number one out of 40 shows that they were streaming. And they're like, you know, we should probably do something. And I had all the fans, we go to these Comic Cons and say, like, please do us a favor, and yourselves, if you want to see us and hear it again, please keep pestering Disney. And they did, all those fans, God bless them. And they just said, Disney just said, we're doing it. Here we go. Let's go. And you know what was really funny was that Josh, and I couldn't believe this, but they have to do this once it's a new series, because you know Disney bought the rights and all that stuff, so now it's their baby. So once it's a new show with new producers, etc., then other people they have to audition. Whoever wants to audition for the roles, you know, it's an AFTRA, and it's the same in Canada. ACTRA here, ACTRA in the US. And SAG, they have to let anyone who wants to audition. So they said, well, you have to audition, Cal. I went, what?
What?
They said, yes, you have to audition. So they gave me an audition, one of the scripts that we did, 25 years ago. And it was a really weird episode that they picked too. It was the one where he's up north, called Cold Vengeance is the episode, the name of the episode. And it's when Jean he's about to kiss Jean for the first time ever. And they're just getting so close, and Wolverine's shaking. And it's just that their lips are about to meet. Jean turns and says, I have to go. Cyclops needs me. Yeah, boink. And he immediately says,
No.
I know he immediately said, showing his heart and how much his heart was broken at that particular moment. She said, I have to go. Cyclops needs me. And what Wolverine said was, so do I. So do I. And she walked away. And he proceeds to go in and rip the roof off Cyclops. Tell Cyclops I made him a convertible. And then he leaves the X-Men and goes up north to the Arctic, where he loves and he's happy. And he meets the Eskimos and he becomes the strong guy. And then here comes Sabretooth again. I forget where I was going with that, but I forget where I was going with that story. So the episode. So the episode ends up, but they're all celebrating because Wolverine has saved them and caught more fish than they've ever had, and that the other Eskimos jealous of Wolverine, so he gets Sabretooth to ties up all the people, and Wolverine saves their lives, but they end up throwing him up in a blanket and stuff, and Wolverine's sitting outside with the chief, and the chief says, the people are so happy and it's all because of you. And Wolverine says, this is the song, the one I had to audition for again. Wolverine says, I feel so weird. I don't understand. I feel at peace. It's like not a voice that Wolverine would normally use. He's usually yelling or screaming, or bitter at someone, but this is him being very soft and quiet. So it was interesting that they picked that scene to audition for his voice. So
yeah, what was it like? So compared to the '90s to working at Disney, what was your day in the recording studio like? As far as so you go in, so you're recording. Are you by yourself, or there are a bunch of people there with you? All right, and how long did y'all work a day and stuff like that?
Which series are you talking about now? The first one in 92 to 97?
Right, yes.
The original one?
Right.
Yeah, well, the original one, Josh, we would go in, we started off, we're all going in together. So there'd be myself, I can see this, all of us, we're around 1, 2, 3, probably 4 microphones, but we're in a semicircle, like one of those horseshoe. And there was myself, Cyclops, Jean, Jubilee, Beast, Rogue, if she happened to be in the episode. And yeah, again, they weren't in that. A lot of them, Storm or Rogue, whoever happened to be there, but usually 4, 5, 6 of us, and we would just do the whole, do your line as it came to your line, and we did that for about 5 episodes, and the engineer was having a nightmare because we were leaking into each other's microphones.
Yeah.
And he was having a problem separating them and stuff like that. So we ended up, after about 5 episodes, just going in one by one by ourselves, which is weird. But I mean, you got to do the entire episode and do your line and concentrate just on what you were doing. But, you know, it was so much fun doing it when they were there, like staring right at Cyclops and saying, yeah, right. I got news for you, punk. Like, you know, just off the cuff remarks and stuff. You know,
right.
Outtakes, in other words. Yeah. But it just became like we're doing it now, one by one. You just go in and do the whole episode.
Wow. I feel like Wolverine's kind of a complicated character. He's kind of hard to know in a way. Like you get to know, like, so when you're playing him, what is his emotional core to you? Because I would imagine you have to understand him well to do the part. So what do you think about him as far as who he is deep down?
He's so complicated. It's so weird because I mean, I feel that I have become him. We've become closer and closer. And the fact that I'm a Gemini, and I'm a true Gemini, like I turn as quickly like that, just like he does. Like he just holds everything inside like I do. And he just doesn't want anyone to, but he's trying so desperately for love or to be wanted. Like the first episode that showed that to me I was laughing at the same time, but I went like, oh, poor Wolf. He's full of adamantium, and he's got the claws and stuff. And it's the very first episode that Jubilee arrives at the mansion, and, you know, she's 12 and the rest of us are all there, and she goes out exploring, whatever, and she gets lost, you know, she doesn't know where she is. And so they're all out looking for her. Storm, Gambit, Jubilee, Rogue, all of them. Cajun, Gumbo, you know, Gambit.
Yeah.
And a pretty boy, Cyclops. And so they're all on the ground talking, gabbing. And Wolverine, of course, is up by himself in the tree. And he looks down at them and says, boy, you sure make a lot of noise. And jumps down on the ground. Like the first episode. When I recorded this line, I spit out laughing when you asked me to record it. And then when I saw it on TV, like, you know, 8 months later, it was just, I laughed again because this guy, as I said, he's full of everything. And he says, Storm says to him, so did you find the girl? And Wolverine says, no, the scent went cold outside the house. Got bit by a dog too. Like, what? And I went, what? You got bit by a dog? Well, you poor thing. Did you feel anything with your adamantium and your healing power? Like, do you have a scar? But all he was saying was like, and in case anyone cares, I got bit by a dog too. You know, that sort of thing. Hey, I'm over here. I got bit by a dog. And I thought, what a complicated dude this guy is. Like, tough as nails and just a huge heart, and just he's lonely and has a lot of time with women. So he's got battles he's fighting all the time, and I just want him to be happy and stuff, and he never is. And it's an ongoing battle with him. So I feel for him when I'm doing the voice, like, and in those episodes where he's praying in the church, those kind of things that show the other side of him, like, because he was so bitter at what's his name, Nightcrawler. That's one of my favorite episodes, by the way. And Nightcrawler is like, Logan, these are only bricks and mortar. See with different eyes. The human soul can always be built back up, and, you know, the Lord has given us this power. Not like bricks and mortar that can be destroyed. It's the, you know. And he says, and he marked some stuff for Wolverine to read in the Bible. And at the end of that episode, they're in France, and Wolverine is in front of an altar reading the stuff that Nightcrawler picked out from reading, and he's like, and I will give thanks to thee all the days of my, he's reading this stuff again. That weird thing for him to have to do. Like, he's like, and he's sort of into it. Like, wow, where are they going to take him next? And then I loved it because after that, the door opens at the back, and it's Rogue. She walks in after leaving Gambit at a table, and she walks into the back of the church, and there's only one person in it. That's Wolverine up at the altar. And she just, so they leave Wolverine, the camera turns around and goes by Rogue, who's standing there, and there's a tear coming out of her eye, and it just goes to black. So it's just,
man, it's a deep show.
Huh?
It's a deep show. X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
I was rewatching it, and I was like, man, this
Oh,
is
yeah.
crazy. Like, it's a lot deeper than, like, you remember as a kid.
Oh, big time. And the lines, I'm sure you missed a lot. You got a lot more lines than when you were a kid. And that was another thing Fox said, or the writer said, we are not writing down to children. Hence when they killed Morph, they said, we have to do this. They said, and Fox said, what are you doing? It's the second episode. You're killing the most popular character that the kids loved. They said, well, they're going to have to face something like that in their life, whether it's a dog, their aunt, their uncle, their dad, their brother, aunt, whatever. They're going to have to face someone in their life is going to pass. So we had to get rid of Morph for our plot, the way it was going. So they said, okay, carry on. But the writing was brilliant writing.
Yes,
which made it easy to do his voice with the terrific writing they had. And they loved writing for me. Pardon?
How did you feel about Hugh Jackman's performance?
Well, when I finally got around to watching an entire one, I loved it. But when I first started watching it, I turned it off after 5 minutes. As soon as I saw him come in with the height that he was and stuff. Wolverine's 5'3", not 6'3". And he was told explicitly to listen to my voice in his preparation for the role. He was told to listen to Cal Dodd's voice, because that's the only reference kids have and people have of Wolverine is Cal Dodd's voice. So if you could do anything to sort of get it in that genre, in that sort of area, it would be good. So when we were introduced at this wine and cheese party in Toronto, he's in Toronto here to shoot the first attempt, the first movie of the year 2000. And so they said, we wanted the two Wolverines to meet. Said, this is Hugh. This is Cal Dodd. He's our Wolverine, has been. And Cal, this is Hugh Jackman. He's about to do it, the role for the first time in live action. I said, well, congratulations, Hugh. And he said, I said, good luck. And he said, well, it's nice to meet you, mate. Mate, but I'm sick and tired of listening to your voice. I'm sick and tired of listening to your voice, mate. I said, well, gee, that's great, I think. We had a little gab, and then he was leaving, and in Wolverine's voice, he turned to walk away and said, hey, you. Hey, you. Sorry. I said, yeah, yes, mate. Yeah, it's Cal. I said, don't mess this up, bub. And he went, get out of here. And I said, no, you get out of here.
Yeah.
So I went the role, but I watched him, and it was amazing what he did and how the shape that he got himself into. He was known as a ninja. The people that were training him couldn't keep up to him. And then he does his one-man show now, and whenever he does the one-man show where he's singing and dancing and the stuff, the singing things that he does, he always takes 2 to 5 minutes to talk about X-Men, because they want to talk about that, the people in the audience that have come. So I mention it, and he always says, and a hats off to the original Wolverine, Cal Dodd, and so which is wonderful that he does that.
Yeah, it was. I feel like he grew into the role, because I felt like in the first one I was like, okay, like I was like, it's fine. It seemed like a more low key version, much more low key of your version. And you did see, when you did the character, it was like, this is Wolverine. It was just the definitive version. It's
Yeah.
like when
Yeah.
Kevin Conroy was Batman. It's like,
Yeah.
this is Batman. Like, this is just
Yeah.
who it is. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
I
would
get that. I get
would
that
hate
all
to
the
be
time.
yeah, it's true. You did such a good job that it's just everybody that is ever Wolverine will always be compared to you because you did so well.
Thank you, and thank you, and so the men, because they were kids when they were watching it. Now they have sons of their own, and I cannot believe, Josh, how many of them have named their child, their boy, Logan. It's unbelievable. Like there are thousands of them, and they all say to a man, they all say, Hugh Jackman's fine, but you're Wolverine. You are the real Wolverine. Hugh Jackman is one thing. I said, yeah, well, it's apples and oranges, the whole thing. But they said that you are Wolverine. Hugh Jackman's, that's another thing. So,
why do you think that X-Men is so beloved, and after all these years and after all these different iterations, what do you think it is about that show that people keep in their hearts?
The writing, I think it's the writing and of course, the characters, and they love him. But Wolverine is the popular, most popular of any character as a result of that series and stuff. But everyone, there was someone in that show for everyone. Like, you know, for little girls had Rogue, Storm, Jubilee, Jean. Like there were equal female parts and male parts in that show, which the kids loved, obviously. And they picked their favorite, and it was just a wonderful experience for them to like, this is a first, you know, to have a superhero woman, rogues flying all over the place and punching people, you know, and it's like, wow, you know, girls can do that too. See? Yeah. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the issues that they attack, Josh, are just scary, like racism, religion, as in like the Nightcrawler thing we were doing, definite racism, political stuff, and it's just like, you know, down with, again, racism, down with mutants, no more mutants, it applies so much today as well, to the situations that are happening left and right. You know, people being mistreated and stuff. That's what the X-Men were. They were mutants, and they were always mistreated. And so many people, I'll tell you, come up to my table and say, thank you. Well, all of them say, thank you. First of all, Mr. Dodd, thank you so much for making my childhood. They said, and second, you saved my life as well. You saved my brother's life. He was going to commit suicide, but he couldn't because Wolverine would not do that because he wouldn't, you know. And then I talked him out of it because he said, you're going to miss Saturday's episode. He said, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I've never thought, but it's just like, but
wow.
Someone said, you saved my life. And it's just like, what? Like, that's how powerful the connection they have with it is. And this one, and I have to tell you the story because it's one of my favorite stories at a Comic-Con. This guy walks up, he's about 26, 27. And he has his daughter who's about 7. And he's all dressed in black, and he has claws, Wolverine claws on. And his little daughter is with him. She's all dressed in black. And he walks up to the table and stops and starts talking. And he just goes, and I have to thank you for, I'm autistic, and this is my daughter. She's also autistic. And I want to thank you, first of all, for saving my life. When I was growing up, I was bullied so terribly, and because of my autism, and I felt like an outcast, and Wolverine was my favorite, and he saved my life because I was, you know, seriously, she wouldn't be here if I had done that, and I am so happy that I didn't. And he went on, and I knew I couldn't interrupt him, so I let him, you know, I just listened to him, and I was almost in tears at the end of that, and and I said, that's an amazing story. And I had my claws on, of course, so I took it off and put my hand out to shake his hand, and his little girl, and he took the claw off on his hand, And he very slowly put it up to my hand and shook my hand. And he said, "Thank you, sir." And his daughter said, "Thank you, Mr. Doc." You know, and the two of them just went zip and walked away. They put the claw back on and turned around and walked away. With that, about 5 seconds later, this woman runs up to the table and she's bawling her eyes out. She said, "I can't believe what I just saw." I said, What? "That's my husband and my daughter. He has never, ever in his life touched another human being with his hand. Ever." He said, "It's because you're Wolverine. Yes, because you're Wolverine, you put your hand out. He could not turn you down." He said, "You're so much." She said, "I just can't believe this." And she, I gave her a big hug, and we're an hour, everyone's crying. And I said, "Well, thanks, you made my day." And it just impacts them, impacts all the time like that at these Comic-Cons. And it just never ceases to amaze me, the power in this TV media and animation and X-Men.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, people, it means a lot. It means a lot to people. It means a lot. It means a lot to me and thousands or millions or other people too. And okay, so I got one more really good question for you. What does it feel like to be back?
It's surreal. It's because, believe it or not, we're in the same studio we were in 30 years ago.
What? That's crazy.
We're in the same recording studio. Different engineer, of course, but the same recording studio. And it's just weird. But it just, and of course, unlike when we were doing it originally, we had our own voice director and stuff there. Dan Hennessy and some of the producers would be there. Like in Toronto, they would fly in. But now, with the way the society is and with the technology, they stay in LA. I'm in Toronto. I go to the studio here, and there's a big screen. I can see them. They can see me, and they direct me from LA for each episode. And it just, Josh, it's like I said, it's surreal. It's like, wow, I can't believe he's back. And I couldn't believe it when I first walked into, because we've already recorded like 13 episodes for that series, the new series. They're still not telling us when it's going to premiere. But when you make a mistake, we do the voices like we did before years ago, and they animate to our voices, not the other way around. They animate after we've recorded all the lines. So if they make an error, and when they're looking at it, playing it back and stuff, they say, "Oh, that doesn't look right. We have to fix that." So it's called ADR. So I'll go in and I have to fix like 5 different lines. So if I said in the original recording, I said, "Back off, bub." They animated like "back off, bub," like quicker or something. So I have to do it the way that they animated to now. So anyway, I was so excited because no one's seen the animation yet, Disney's new animation. So I'm about to see it for the first time. And I walk in and they, on goes the screen because I have to watch his lips now. And I actually fell back in my chair and went, "Holy crap, man, you look good." The animation is unbelievable. It was just, I just couldn't believe it. He looked like a real human being. It was like, holy crap, this is unbelievable. So, and after I got over that, we did the lines, and I've seen them since. So that's all I can tell you about that. We're still under a non-disclosure.
Yeah, man, I'm so excited. And I'm sure you know this. I don't think you would say it, but if you didn't come back, then they might as well have not done it. I'm just saying, like, I think all the fans would have been like, no. Like,
yeah.
Get him back or we're not doing this. Like, even like they could replace some of the people, but if you had not come back, that would have been like, we're not going to watch this. Like,
no.
Go ahead, throw it away. We don't care.
I told them that. I told them. No, and you have to be careful when I did that. But I said, "They're not going to want anyone else, Bob. You know that." And they're like, "What?" "I'm Wolverine, period. They don't want anybody else." So don't go.
You are
Stop.
Wolverine.
So stop your looking around, bub. I'm here.
You've become the character. That sounds
Oh,
like
God,
what
yes.
Wolverine would say.
Oh yeah, I know. Oh, for sure, Josh. I am him. It's crazy.
Well, thank you. I really, really appreciate you doing this. And I really enjoyed talking to you. And like, I like you as a person. And I really
Thank
enjoyed
you.
speaking with you. So thank you very, very much.
You're very, very. Did I show you the back of the jacket? Like on the. Did I show you the back of this jacket?
Show me.
Like,
show it
it's
to
very
me.
cool.
Wow. That's really cool. Love that.
Yeah.
That's so neat. Is that
And
a
on
one
the
of
back-
one?
Yeah. No. I got two of them. That's well.
Can you buy those?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No. That was back like a cast jacket back in. We probably got them in '95. Something like that, 95 or 96.
Those are really cool. I love them.
So yeah, and we had a choice. He either got Norm Spencer, who played, God bless him, who played Cyclops for the whole series. We were always arguing, like, because our characters argue all the time. But we were hilarious. He was very, very funny, and the two of us got along wonderfully. But always staying in character, like joking around. So when they announced, they said, "Yeah, the jackets are Wolverine yellow leather. It's just first leather, and this is like nice felt, whatever, like a university, whatever." And you had a choice of Wolverine yellow or X-Men blue, so like this color of blue as the sleeve, which Beast got, because Beast is blue, right? So
right.
I said to Norm, "So psych, Cyclops. So psych. What color you getting, bub?" And he said, "Well, it won't be Wolverine yellow, that's for sure. it'll be X-Men blue." I said, "Well, good luck with that." So, and none of us knew that in the back of every jacket, no matter what color you got for here of this, was Wolverine. No Cyclops, not your character on the back. Like Rogue didn't get Rogue on the back of hers. Everyone had Wolverine. So one day he wore his nice blue leather thing in, and I had mine, and I'm standing at the microphone. This is when we were still recording. No, that particular day we had to record together. And I said, "Oh, psych, who's on the back of your jacket?" And he said, "I don't know. I haven't looked." like you lied. I said, "Well, I'll show you who's on the back of your jacket, bub." And I turned around, and he went, "Oh, who cares?" I said, "Oh, I can tell you do, pal." Pretty boy.
I like that y'all are the same in real life.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a cameo to do now too. I have another cameo in this voice. So poor people. It's not.
Well,
it's too bad, was it? Was it too bad? The nasal thing with the cold.
I can't tell. Like I was just thinking when you do the voice, I turned 8 years old again. So I think you're doing good. Well, thank you.
You're so welcome.
Have a good day, and this means so much to me, and I really, really appreciate you doing this.
Well, thank you, and I apologize again, Josh, for putting it off so many times on you, but we got it done.
So worth it. So worth it. The most worth it thing ever. But,
okay.
Yeah. Have a good day. Take care of yourself.
You too.
Get you some rest. I'll
Josh.
talk to you later.
Okay, bud.
Good day. All right, that's about it, everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to follow the Facebook page, MC Popsicles World. Go follow it right now. Also, thank you, Mr. Dodd, for coming on. I really appreciate you. And without further ado, the sponsors! First thing is I would like to give a very special shout out to my new sponsor, Big Ideas Consulting. Make money and grow your business the smart way with Big Ideas Consulting. Please check out Ramicus.com for all the MC Popsicle merchandise. We got buttons, shirts,
phone cases, posters, everything. So make sure to get on over to Ramicus.com and get you something.
Stop! Before you do anything else, check this out. This is a vintage 90s Ninja Turtle figure that was modeled after the turtles from the movie. I love it. And this is a newer turtle figure. I also love it. You should go to the Toy Stash on Instagram and follow them. They have vintage and new toys. And if you're a toy collector like me, you need to know about them. Follow them on Instagram right now.
Another thing you need to do is check out Step On It Rugs on Instagram. They are insane. They made me an MC popsicle rug. Anything you can imagine, they can make a rug for it. Hit them up. Also, shout out to my shoe sponsor, SoulSphin. They make amazing future sneakers that are just bananas. Please follow them on Instagram. You will love their selection.